YOLO, welcome back. In today's video, I kind of wanted to discuss what my plans are when it comes to one of the most expensive things that you can buy, a house. Now, part of the American dream is to own your own home. It used to be a white picket fence, a dog, wife, 2.5 kids, 2 cars, and that was it. That was the dream life, and you had made it. You were middle-class America, doing fairly well for yourself, better than most of the world, and the biggest component was owning your own home. Now, back when the American dream, or to be more accurate, this version of the American dream was going strong, house prices were around like $40,000 to $50,000. No, not down payments. The actual house price for the entire building was $40,000 to $50,000. Nowadays, it's ridiculously expensive. How much more so? Well, I decided to check on what the average and median was for my state, and then compare it to the national average, which is, my state is Michigan, by the way. So, here are the results that I got from ChatGPT. United States average home value is approximately $367,969, according to data pulled from Zillow from May 31st of 2025, which I was a little surprised. I thought that was going to be a bit higher because I was hearing all around that the average was around $420,000, and the median sale price is $414,000 as of April of 2025. Now let's compare that to my state of Michigan, which is my current home state, until I'm finished with my trucking job and move up to Alaska. Michigan's average home value was about $260,040. This information was from Zillow as of May 31st, 2025. Which I was surprised that both the average and the median for Michigan were so low. But then I remembered that Detroit has, well, they're not technically slums, but they're slums, basically. And that ends up bringing down both the average and the median from the data for the state. The median price in Michigan varied a little bit, but it was in between $256,000 to about $270,000. Now, the kind of houses that I'm looking to buy are in the Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo area, and they're going to cost quite a bit more than that, because Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids are both bigger cities, and they're both college towns. And I'm planning on buying this as an investment property. I'm looking at either a duplex, triplex, or quadplex. Anything more than a quadplex counts as commercial real estate, and I haven't done any research on the difference between commercial real estate and standard, so I'm just going to focus on duplex, triplex, or quadplex for the time being. The good news is I have about 2 to 3 years before I'm looking to buy a house, because I don't want to have to deal with anything while I'm out over the road. The bad news is, currently, these prices for the kinds of homes I'm looking at are all around $400,000, give or take. Now, there's a loan that you can take, which will cover basically the entire thing, if not the full thing, with lower interest rate if you're a first-time home buyer. But the caveat to that is you have to live in it as your primary residence for at least 1 year. Now, I'm personally not planning on living in the property that I buy, but renting out all the units. So this wouldn't really work for me. But other real estate investors make use of this, and they end up house hacking with it, so that the other 2 or 3 units covers the mortgage, the insurance, the taxes, basically, and nets them a little bit of cash flow each month. Now, my current plan is to either take out a standard home loan, and I'll use what's in my high-yield savings account to be the down payment, which within 2 to 3 years should be enough of a down payment for a house, or take a loan out using margin against my stock portfolio. And Robinhood lets you do this at around 5%, which is better than most, but not as good as the home loans were back in I think it was 2021 2022, people were getting locked in at like 2 to 3%, which is just phenomenal. It was a great opportunity, but again, the market was hyper aggressive to buy houses at that point, and I didn't have the money to get into it. Now, once I've actually bought a house, I'm planning on putting it into an LLC to have that level of protection and safety, while I then use it as a rental property. Now, I'm not going to manage renting it out myself and dealing with tenants and, plumbing at 2 in the morning. So I'm going to have to find a company to take care of that for me, which they're going to eat into the profits a little bit. But you get what you pay for. And I really don't want to have to deal with that headache, so I'm more than happy to shell out some of the rent money each month for them to cover everything for me. A second reason that I'm waiting 2 to 3 years before I buy a house is that I want to make enough money in dividends that I could cover paying all the monthly expenses for the house if it ends up sitting vacant for, say, 2 or 3 months after I buy it. Because you never know what happens. You can get a home inspected, and then you buy it, and then you find out a little later that it needs a little bit of plumbing done, or needs maybe just some cosmetic work, like a little facelift before you end up putting renters in there. So you always have to plan for vacancies when you first get a house. Sorry if there is sound in the background. It's currently raining outside. I'm in Florida, and it just keeps raining off and on. So much for the Sunshine State. Now, once I've got the first house and, ironed out all the kinks, have a good property management agency, and everything's working well, which will probably take the better part of a year or two, I could then potentially take out a loan on the equity of the home to try and do the whole thing again. But that would be a very heavy amount of leverage, which I don't think I'd be comfortable with that much leverage. Now, my long-term goal would be to get about 5 of these multi-unit homes, either duplexes, triplexes, or quadplexes. That would bring in a substantial amount of money each month. Then I would aggressively pay down the debt to get them debt-free as quickly as possible. That way I could then move into phase 2 of my plan. Phase 2 of the plan is to put all 5 of the homes, once they're paid off, into 5 separate LLCs. That way there's 5 different little rental businesses. And then what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to put those LLCs, I believe it's into a living trust. And then I'm going, not the same living trusts, each different ones. And then give them to different members of my family. So 3 younger sisters will each get a cash flowing business of, being a little landlord. My parents together will get one, and then one for my grandmother who lives alone. The money from these should cover all of my grandma's need. My parents don't really need it, but it'd be really nice to gift them something and give back to them for everything they've done for me. And then the 3 for my sisters are to help them out because one went to college and got a decent degree in a medical field, so she doesn't really need that much help, but she is drowning in student loan debts. The other 2 are kind of figuring life out, and life is on hard mode right now, so if you're not doing anything to get ahead, you've already fallen too far behind. And I don't want them to end up falling deep into debt and just living in a cycle of, paycheck to paycheck lifestyle, when I could potentially do something about it. I'm also planning on moving out of Michigan to Alaska, so I don't want to have a bunch of rental properties in Michigan that I might still have to occasionally deal with. So if I end up kind of, pawning them off onto people who still live in Michigan, it's now their problem, not mine. But that's pretty much my plan on buying a house and or multiple homes, getting into real estate investing. Eventually, once I move, I'll buy an actual house. Well, more than likely, I'll just get myself a tiny apartment. Then once I get married, I'll build a house that's a custom home for myself and the future missus. So, pretty much the next 5 to 10 years, I don't plan on purchasing a home that I will live in. Let me know in the comments below if anybody here has done real estate investing and what their thoughts on this are. Is it a good idea, the way I have it kind of roughly planned out and structured? Or is there a more efficient way to do what I'm trying to attempt, since the homes I'm trying to buy are not primary residences for me? I wanted to say thank you for watching, and as always, I'll catch you on the flip side.